Hi, so for video editing lesson 2, we're not only going to talk about creating a sequence, but we're also going to talk about adding transitions into that sequence. So you have two options. You can either download the files that I gave you, or you can watch this video and then grab your own images off websites like Pixabay or Unsplash or anything like that, or wherever you can get videos from. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to new project, and I'm going to come over here to there. I'm going to go ahead and name this my last name _ lesson 2 and hit OK. On mine, I'm going to replace it because I'd already started this and then went back to it. You should not get that pop-up screen. Okay, then we're going to come down to project. I'm going to right click, do import. And for this, you're going to need 3 videos, an image file, and an audio file. And I'll go ahead and click open. Now I am on the little video clip view, the icon view, just so I can kind of see which ones videos that I'm working with. You can do the list if you want to. I'm going to start off with this video 1 file, and I'm going to pull it over and drop it into my media. And you can see that it put it onto video 1 right here, which is fine. And if you just go ahead and play it, you'll see that it does a countdown. After this is where I'm going to put my title screen. So I need to create a new file to put right in here. I'm going to actually move my video 1 file up to video 2 right here, and I'm going to put a screen right here. Now, the reason I'm going to do this is I'm going to use the Essential Graphics, and I'm going to find a title screen that I like, and I'm actually going to use the one that's called Angle Title. Which is right here. So now if I drag this and I drop it down on here, you'll see that it looks like the screen is black. And if I go over to it, my text is in white, and it's perfectly fine if I wanted it to stay black, but I want this screen to be white. So I have to put a thing behind it. And now I want this to be 5 seconds long. So let's see how long it came up to. By hovering over it, I should have this little screen pop up, and you can see it pop up for a second. You can see the duration's 5 seconds, so that's perfect. And I'm going to create now a white screen to go behind it so that whenever it reads, it'll be white. So the way you do that is you come over here to your project panel, and you may have to move your toolbar a little bit. And I can see that I need this little document right here, this new item in the folded piece of paper. And I'm going to select it. I'm going to do color matte. It's going to automatically set it to the size of my screen for me, which is perfect. I'm going to hit OK. And I want a white screen behind that black so that you can see through it. And I'm going to choose white. It's going to ask me what to name it. I'm just going to name it White Matte and hit OK. And it'll pop up now over here on my project panel. And I'm going to drag it over, and I'm going to place it right here. Now, again, you can tell it's already 5 seconds, so perfect. It's just the size I want. And as I move across it, you'll see my text here. Now, I want to make some adjustments to this, to my text itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in right here with using my type tool. I grab my type tool, I selected my type, and I'm going to type in black and white, because that's the name of my film. And then underneath it, I'm going to draw a second text box. And no matter what you do, I do want you to have the second text box, and I want you to have in it by and your name. Okay, I am going to select that text again, and you can see that my text box has popped up down here now, and I can change the size of it right here. So I'm going to put my name a little bit smaller, and I'm also going to center it. Then if you come down a little bit farther, I have to move that little box. If I come down here a little bit farther, you can see that it says shadow. I want to add that shadow to it just to make it a little bit darker, because if you noticed earlier, it was kind of bright. Okay. Then on the top one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go ahead right here, and I'm going to click Add a Shadow to this layer. That way it just makes my text stand out a little bit more. Now, I don't want it to stand out like crazy, so it's perfectly fine. My text up here is kind of leaning a little bit, so I'm going to do the same thing. No, I'm going to leave it straight for my name. But you can play with it if you want it in all caps, if you want big caps, little caps, any of the things that you want on your text. Go ahead and feel free to play with it. Okay, I now have this on here, but what I want to happen is when it goes from I want it to it's going to zoom in and go like this. Now I want to add my second video. So that's this one right here that if you see in the project panel, it looks kind of like smoke, and I'm going to drag it over here. Now when you drag it over, you're going to notice that there's two files that comes with it. This second file right here is an audio file. This video came with it, and we're just going to have to ungroup them so that we don't have that audio file over what we're already going to be doing. So simply click on it, right click, and you can come here to unlink. Then all I have to do is delete. Now, if you want to watch the video, you can come over here and watch the video. I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker so you can see it kind of smoke down. And again, if you want to edit your videos, remember, just put them to where you want it to start. You're going to press this bracket, which marks it in, and then put it to where you want it to end and mark it out. All the videos I'm using, I'm just kind of keeping them at their length just because we're going to be doing transitions on them, and I wanted to talk about that more than cropping again. If you wanted to know more about cropping your clips, go ahead and go back to lesson 1. Okay, so at the end of this one, we want to create a transition from one into the other. I also want to do that right here, just to give it a little bit of something extra. So whenever you want to add a transition, you simply put your cursor on the end, and you'll tell that it's pointing the cursor. If I push it a little to the left, it points to the left. If I push it a little to the right, it points to the right. What that's doing is that's the direction it's going to put the transition in. So if you want your first one to fade into your second, or your second to fade into your first. So you have to kind of think about that. Then there's also those transitions that will, when we have two of them next to each other, it'll overlap both of them. It just depends on the transition itself. We can also make adjustments to how long those transitions are, which I will show you as well. So at the beginning of this first one, this top, our title screen, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to click it to the right. And then I'm going to come up to Effects, and I'm going to type in the word Film. And I want to do Film Dissolve. And I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and there it is. Now, to get this to add in, all I do is click it and drag it over here and drop it right here. And now it's going to add that transition in. Okay, it just makes it a little bit smoother transitioning in instead of having that hard line that you sometimes get when between clips. Then on this one, I wanted to kind of dip in. I'm sorry. Nope. I skipped a step. We need to move video 3 over first. So we're going to take video 3 and we're going to put it right at the end of this one. Now on this one, you'll see it goes pretty quick from white to black. So I'm going to add a transition to help even that out a little bit so that it feels a little bit more smooth. So I'm going to come back over to my effects, and I'm going to click the X right here. And you can go under video transitions. And you can look through all these different ones. They each do something a little bit different. So like dissolve is the one that we're going to be using. It helps like fade it into the other one or dissolve it in. You can do ones like wipe, where it feels like it's like moving it across the screen. You can do zooms where it feels like it's zooming it in. So all of these have a little bit different of a purpose. So I'm going to do dissolve, and I'm going to do dip to black. And I'm going to put it right down here, right there. Now you'll see my icon shows a box going on both sides. That's because it's going to have it go from one and now it goes into blacker and then back into the other one. So it's going to give it a little bit of that like transition where it fades it out to black and kind of comes over. Then I'm going to add I'm going to add my image 4, which is the dice, and I'm going to pull these down and put it right here. And one of the problems that I had with this is whenever I slide it across, it goes real sharp. See, the picture goes from one picture to another. So again, I'm going to use another transition. On this one, I'm going to do this cross dissolve. I'm going to slide it right here. And I want it to kind of fade into one another. So it's going to cross dissolve on the left-hand side on this one. So it'll start showing the dice and the chess pieces are going to fade away. Okay. Now you can go back and make changes to any of these. So if you decided that this little crossfade wasn't long enough, or if it's too long, you can simply click on that little box right there where it says cross, and you can change the time setting for it. I'm going to actually do that on the audio so you can hear it. It makes it a little bit easier to see the difference. But you can change any of those that you need to make them longer or shorter to fit your piece a little bit better. Okay, then for the last step on this, we're going to add in the music. Now, I purposely picked a piece of music that I knew was going to be too long. And then you can always go in and edit it. You can do some basic editing. And here, just kind of like you do a video where if you play it, and if you decide where you want to clip it at, you can do the same thing of mark in and mark out. I'm just going to start mine at the beginning so that this doesn't come into play. Now you can also take your music into Audition now that we've gone over that a little bit, and you can do that as well. Now what I want to do is I don't want my music to play during the countdown. I want it to start right at the beginning of my title. So I'm just going to pull this down and I'm going to line it up with my title. Now if I start playing, and I will start at 2, start right in there, and I'm going to go ahead and move this over. One of the things you'll find with editing film is that you're going to start kind of playing with it, and you'll have to go back and forth a little bit until you get it exactly where you like it. Okay, so I want it to kind of start playing when this white starts. Now, another thing is I want it to kind of fade in. I don't want to have a hard sharp of all of a sudden, ooh, there's music. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these back up on my effects panel, and I'm going to come to the audio transitions right here. And there's one called crossfades. I'm going to do that drop down. And I want it to do a constant gain. So I want it to go from quiet up. So I'm just going to pull this down here, and I'm going to put it right here on this end. Now if I listen to it, okay, it's going to start getting slightly louder. It gets louder really, really fast, which is not what I want. I want it to take all the way to the end of this title screen to be able to get up that high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on it, and I know that's about 5 seconds. So let's go ahead and we'll do 6 seconds. All the way up, which is pretty close to the end right there. So now if I play it, you can hear it. You can hear that it started off pretty low and like came in. You'll also see it over here on our gauge over here is if you watch it, it starts off kind of low, slowly starts building, builds a little bit more as it keeps going, and then it's at full volume. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this over to the end, which is right about there. I'm going to select this one. And I'm going to come up here, and this is where I clipped it. So that's about as much music as I need. Whoops, that's not right. There's where I need to clip it. Just by double clicking on it, it shows where my end is, and I can clip that. And now my video is at its end. So if we play back through it, it's going to count down. The music will start. The fade in will start. The dissolve. And dissolve again. Okay, so then our video ends. So you have a nice little compilation here. You used a few of the different transitions in it. Going to make it smooth. Now, like I said, if you don't want to use the images that I chose to use, feel free to find some videos of your own. I'd like you to use 3 videos, an image, a still image, a piece of audio, and then create a title screen. Now, whether or not you'll need this white background will be up to you, but if you want a different color, you can do that as well. But you do need a title screen in there somewhere. When you're done, you're going to come up to, you're going to make sure you save it. Like I said, it saves a lot. Another thing you'll notice, if you haven't saved recently, you'll have a little star right here. It's just telling you that you need to save. Then we're going to go to File and Export and Media. Your setting right here, format should be the same. So it's H264. Our preset, we're going to do YouTube 720. Output name, since I named it earlier, it should be named right, but now I need to put it where I want it to be. So I want it right in here and hit save. Everything else should be fine, and I'm going to hit Q. Again, if you can't get this to work because you need to render through the program, just let me know and I can help you do that. Otherwise, Media Encoder is your best option. Now everything in here should already be set, and all you have to do is hit the little green arrow. We'll wait for it to finish rendering. There it goes. You can tell because the check mark's done. And I'm going to open it up and I will show you. The video came out like as an MP4, and here it is. Oh, something went wrong with that. I know what I did wrong. Okay, I'm going to go out back. So, need to make sure I am right here on this one right here, which is our composition, before I render it. So make sure you come over to the project panel and click on the composition and then do edit, export, media, I was wondering why it was rendering so quickly. Okay, so let's go back down to YouTube 720. Everything's the same. Q. We'll just call it eHouse Lesson 2A. I'm going to go ahead and render it. There we go. Now it's going a little bit slower. Sometimes, just so you know, that is a sign that you've done something slightly wrong if it just renders way too quickly. Okay, now let's check it. So it finished rendering. I named it 2A. Okay, and there's our finished video. So if you have any questions, let me know. Also remember that Pixabay is a great site for this stuff because it has music, it has audio, it has videos, and it has images. Vedevo, V-I-D-E-V-O, is also a great place to get some stock videos for anything that you're creating. So try out one of those sites, and if you have any issues, please let me know.